much you're known for your personality, being a little outgoing. So I started thinking about this process. I mean, were you like this when you were really little, or where'd it come from?
I guess, you know what, my mentor was Dr. Tom Davis. He was coach at Iowa. And he said, when you leave me, it'd be okay to do what we do basketball-wise, but be yourself. And so that's just sort of what you see is basically what you get.
So at what point did you get interested in basketball? I mean, did you always want to be a coach?
You know what? I always coached when I was playing, and then when I got to school, I was always coaching little kids. But I didn't go. I went to Boston College to get a real job. And then when I was a senior, Tom Davis left Boston College to go to Stanford, and he asked me to get into coaching, and I've been coaching ever since.
So I hear you were a manager when you were at BC.
Right.
What was that experience like? I mean, did you see a whole different side of the game?
You did, and I was more connected with the players than I were the coaches, but there was no task that was too big or too small, whether it be the laundry or doing the floor or being on the scout team or refereeing practice or hosting Patrick Ewing on his visit to Boston College. You did it all, and that's sort of what I've tried to do as a coach, is just whatever needs to be done, that's what we're going to do.
So do you appreciate those guys more, the managers and the guys that are just kind of doing the grunt work because you've been there?
I think you do, and I also appreciate those guys that are not on scholarship playing basketball, those practice team guys. They care as much as your scholarship guys, maybe more about the team. And so that's what being a great team is all about, is taking the coaches and the managers and the players, putting them all together to perform a specific task.
So you've been around the game for a while now. And I know you probably get asked this all the time, but has it changed? I mean, have players changed? Has the game changed?
You know, people have asked the question because they want to say kids are different nowadays. Young people still want discipline. They still want to be pushed. They still want to work hard. The difference is we all want to go in the weight room and for 2 days and get stronger. Or we want to buy a stock and the next day sell it for 5 times more than we bought it for. And so I think we as a nation have lost a little bit of that long-term work ethic. And so maybe young people want success, they want it now, but I love making a difference in young people's lives, so no, the kids really haven't changed.
So can you teach delayed gratification, or what do you do when you get guys in that maybe haven't understood that process? How do you get them to understand that it takes hard work, takes a little patience?
Well, you know what, you bring them to places like this, Sam, and you show them this magnificent paradise and say, now listen, right now, the University of Tennessee brought you here in the Paradise Jam. You're not going to be playing ball for the rest of your life, you know. Take this degree, do something with it, you know, get yourself a nice living and come back here and get some R&R in a beautiful part of the world.
Do you feel like a lot of guys come in, I mean, I'm sure at every level there's some of this, but everybody thinks they're going to the NBA.
Right.
How do you deal with that? How do you shape ego when they first come in and try and teach them, all right, we got to do this thing together?
Yeah, well, first of all, if anybody's going, you know, when we as a team are successful, you as an individual will benefit far more than if you as an individual is successful but the team fails. We were invited to this tournament because we're a good basketball team with some great individuals. And so then you learn them, you teach them how to play unselfishly and play hard. Look, the NBA guys, they're going to recognize it, they're going to see it, but they also want to see you win. And they also want to see you be a team player at this level to help you get to the next level. So, you know, my job is to see something in the kids that they don't see in themselves. My job is to try to help them, each and every one of them, realize their goals without taking away from the team.
Now, some things in this generation have changed, and one of those things is social media.
Yeah.
I see you got on Twitter. You jumped into that. What's that all about, Coach?
Well, I got help from my sports information director. So
you don't actually send
I don't do all the twitting myself.
Man.
And I wasn't into that. Well, you know, he and I talk about things that I want to discuss, we want to talk about and things like that. So people do pay attention to them, so I monitor it. But no, I don't write it every single day. No.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
Okay, so when you get into all the blogs and, you know, all these different forms of social media, what do you think about all this stuff? I mean, it's kind of changed the way that fans interact with the game because everybody has an opinion now.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, like coaching is like owning a barbecue restaurant in the sense that every man better have a good barbecue sauce. He better have skills on the grill. And we've all got opinions on that. Same thing with coaching. You know, we've all coached a little bit, and so we offer opinions on it. I pay more attention to what the mainstream media is saying. You can't control what folks say. You can't control how you're perceived. You do the very best you can and hope that you wind up doing more good things than bad things. And I honestly don't pay attention to that stuff because it would bother me if people took me to task about something that they weren't as informed on and they had a negative opinion about me. I can't control what people are going to say and think. just focus on what I can control.
So how do you deal with it with your players? I mean, these are guys that probably, the majority of them on Facebook or Twitter, all these things. How do you control that and still let them, be in college, have fun, but at the same time prepare them for what that stuff can,
Well, Sam, perception is reality. And so if you're twittering at 1:30 in the morning to your boy and you're using a different language that you may be comfortable with, but somebody is not, it's going to get misunderstood. Everything you say can and will be used against you in those situations. So you just train them and you talk about it. And you know what? You got to understand they're kids. Yeah. They're college kids. They're just a lot more visible. So we try to educate them as best we can and understand that they're going to make some bad decisions in that regard.
Now, obviously, a lot of things have changed. One of them is recruiting.
Right.
And this has gotten so intense over the past few years. I'm sure you've seen the difference. How do you make sure that you're still doing it right, doing it the right way, being honest, and having guys come in, not with any false pretenses, and still getting the best guys?
You can do it for one reason, and that is because we're teachers. We are in higher education, and there is a different level, I think, of ethical responsibility because you're working with young people. I can't compromise myself to prospects or to players because I got to coach them, and this is one of the last bastions we have through education or through the church or the synagogue or whatever, to get these guys to do it the right way. Understand it's not okay to get it done and do it the wrong way.
But is there more pressure now? I mean, you see coaches getting fired in the middle of seasons, maybe just getting a couple of years to turn losing programs around. I mean, what is it about that pressure? I mean, does it affect the way you coach? Does it change things?
Well, it doesn't change the way you do things. It can't, but it does put tremendous pressure on you. Look, I started coaching 20-something years ago, and I certainly wasn't doing it for the money. I was a teacher, and it wasn't until the last few years when I've gotten up to this high major level, where the rewards are great, but the expectations also are come with that. And yes, it is unfortunate. Guys are getting fired in mid-season because they're not winning enough games. Again, I don't worry about what I can control. I worry about what I can't control. And yet in recruiting, you've got to get good enough players to be able to be competitive. So there's a fine line in there, but you absolutely can do it right. I think the NCAA is working really hard to try to create rules that enable us to do it the right way.
Let's talk about some of these guys you got this year. One of them, pretty close to you, happens to be your son, who's a junior. What does that bring to the environment in practice especially? Is there a little more accountability there with your son out there?
Well, he's one of the toughest guys we have and one of the more physical guys we have. And, basketball has been very, very good to him. He could have gone to low Division I, mid Division I, and played a lot. But he came to Tennessee at a high major level, and his chances of getting on the court are less and less. He's my best practice player. This summer, he and I got to travel to Israel. We won the gold medal in Israel, representing the United States in the 18th Maccabiah. Had a great experience there. And so, it pains me as his father to not see him in the regular rotation. But as his coach, just shut up, play your role, and you stay ready. Your opportunity is going to come.
Now tell me about this trip this summer. That's pretty neat. You got to go over to the Middle East.
It was awesome. My wife came, my bride, and she was one of our managers. My daughter, Jackie, was also one of my managers. And Stephen, of course, was a player. It was a family affair. It was a mitzvah. My parents came over. And it was just, the best of both worlds. To combine basketball, with that kind of a cultural experience, wearing red, white, and blue, and representing my country, and doing it in my Jewish homeland, it was a slam dunk home run. Didn't get any better than that.
We got Lane Kiffin at Tennessee this year, making a couple of guarantees about his season. You got any for this season, and what are the expectations?
No. Coach Kiffin never guaguaranteed a number of wins.
Oh, okay.
But he guaranteed the way they'd play. Right, and that's what I did when I got to Tennessee. And, he's brought great energy. Yep. And to be on the same staff with Pat Summitt, Lane Kiffin, is pretty spectacular. I love his confidence. I love his staff, and I love the energy that he's brought. And we're excited about the way they're going to hopefully finish up this season and go bowling.
Now, did you make some sort of arrangement? I know you showed up to Coach Summitt's game, shirtless, orange. What are you going to do for Kiffin? You got to step your game up.
Now, you know what? If I tell you what I'm going to do, then when I do it, it's like, well, I told you. You heard it right here. No,
sorry, we totally blow it.
Stay tuned because you never know exactly what I'm going to do next.
Oh, wow. I'm actually looking forward to that in some scared sort of way. This should be interesting.
Be very afraid.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck this weekend. Try not to be all business. Try and have a little bit of fun, right? You're in the Virgin Islands.
We are here to try to become a better basketball team. I'll come back to the Virgin Islands on vacation when I want to rest and relax. But thanks for the advice anyway.
Okay, thanks for your time, Coach.
Thank you, Sam.
This is Fox College Sports.